Good morning, everyone. It is February the 20th, 2026. Today I'm not putting up another video. I want to talk about a meeting that I attended. That was about a month ago. I wanted to look through some of the information that I had here on the pamphlet and that. But it's on supportive housing and the way supportive housing should look. And I know I've given my views on having the services in a building for supportive housing for the people who need the support and the types of supports that they might need. Well, this goes in depth on I believe it started off as a pilot project in Toronto, and it's very worthwhile listening to, because I know this meeting I attended was well attended. Surprisingly enough, it was well advertised. You had to reserve your spot for it, which I did. And it was held in a church. And the big takeaway from this is the whole thing was, it was so well attended that they had people from all walks of life. It was held in one of our two wards here, Centertown, and of course Lower Town, close to Lower Town, where we're having all the trouble with the stabbings, with the crime, with the addictions and everything that are in our two wards. And it was held in this church. And it was quite something to see, because people who were in the addiction services, you had the different levels of government involved coming together, and all the different people from the shelters, everything. The whole community came together. And what I found that was really super about this whole thing was, on Sundays it's so hard to get the church filled and the pews filled, and yet I found myself sitting halfway back in the pews, because all the pews were taken up. The church was full of all these people who care about the homeless, who care about our social housing, who care about people, all came together at this meeting. And this is what I find gives people so much hope, and me hope, when I see people from all parts of the situation getting together and trying to find solutions to things. And it was called because of this project that's in Toronto. I'm going to read from the pamphlet here. I've got a pamphlet. And because it was very difficult even trying to hear some of the stuff that was going on, even with the speaker and that, and let alone see the TV screen when I was halfway back in the church. I tried to grab as much as I could. That was the big takeaway. And I think everyone tried to get as much as they could from what people of the different levels of the government and the people that were running this particular project. And I'm going to go into it now. And it's called Canada's First Social Medicine Housing. And the name of this house is they call it the Dunn House. And this is a building that they've chosen. This is the name that they've chosen, where they have this supportive housing. And it goes on, and I'm going to talk about the tenant selection of this. And it supports super utilizers, UHN's most medically and socially complex patients with the highest utilization of emergency departments and hospital resources. Now, the eligibility criteria for this is you have to be 18 or older, lives in Toronto, 2+ inpatient admissions in 6 months, or 6+ ED visits in 6 months, and that's emergency department visits. They've only had that amount of visits. Currently unhoused, has stayed within the city shelter system or street outreach teams in the past 90 days, or is Indigenous. Now this is just the criteria for it. And then it's the patients are a referral pathway. This is what this is called. Patients identified based on eligibility criteria. The second was social medicine engages and consents patients. The next one is social medicine works with patients to complete assessments and require documentation. Then it goes on, UHN, City of Toronto, and Fred Victor review documentation, and approve patient eligibility for housing at 90 Dunn. Patient, then it goes on, patient views the unit and signs a lease with Fred Victor. So they're housing people at the same time, is what I've always believed in, that people need to be housed, but they need to have the supports 24/7 with them. And it's working out very well because with the emergency department visits are way down because they have the nurse practitioners, they have the psychiatrists coming in, they have all the supports that they need right there, so that if a patient has a meltdown, they can deal with it immediately. And that's far better than having our police have to deal with someone in the middle of the street, like I've described in one of my way earlier videos, where they come in and they plant the poor person face down on the pavement, and there's just more and more trauma added. So this is far less trauma, and it's being treatment given to them. And it goes on the second part of on the back page here. It's the tenant experience, and this is on the housing initiative at 90 Dunn. The clinical care model at 90 Dunn Avenue provides tenants with low barrier access to health supports, referral to UHN specialist care, and connection to community supports with a particular focus on relationship, trust building, and fostering tenant autonomy. That's very important, tenant autonomy, and I can talk about that another day on that issue. And then it's tenant move-in. New tenant met by FV housing staff and UHN, CHW/SMN receives tour and overview of support services available on site. And then CHW is a community health worker. SMN is a social medicine navigator. And SCOPE is the seamless care optimizing the patient experience. Then it has this round thing, my goodness, it's like looking at kind of a record or a circle here, and it's got all the supports involved in this. You have the community paramedicine is involved in it. You have allied health. You have psychiatry, where the psychiatrist comes in on a very regular basis and is working with the patients. You have addictions medicine involved in this. You have SCOPE, accurate care if appropriate for each individual person that they're caring for. They get their own individual treatment program. Regional mobile nursing and proper health, which with the nurse practitioners on site, it's also reduced the expenses of going to the emergency ward. So it's helping to clear out our emergency wards as well. Then you also have Indigenous sports, and then you have virtual ED, and you also then on the next inner circle, you have the primary care, SM, nurse practitioners, or community PCP, and then you have housing workers and case managers in the building as well. You have personal support workers for the clients right in the building. You have social medicine, CHW, SMN. And then it goes on in the inner circle that the tenant receives individual care at 90 Dunn. So this is something that came up. I was really happy to see it, and so happy to see all the people that came in for support from both communities, from Lower Town as well as Center Town, where all the problem is, and workers coming in. You had people coming in, paramedics, you had people from the healthcare system, everyone coming in to try and see what this was about. So that was a big takeaway for me, was that this is what I've been trying to talk about, where you, as I've said with the mental health care, that I believe that they need a separate building with the mental health supports 24/7 in their building. Well, this is even more in-depth and much more valuable than even what I was trying to say. I was just trying to come into seeing some of the supports that I saw. But this is where all our supports are coming in to play and to work with people that are on addictions and mental health issues. And rather than just throwing them out in the streets and let them fight amongst themselves, letting people getting stabbed over stupid things, most likely, and it's much better. And it was we had, like I said, we had our federal government MP there, and for the Centertown location, and the city were there. She put it on, as a matter of fact. The city, the city councilor for the Centertown ward, and our ward councilor for Lowertown was there as well, listening in the meeting. And then you had from city officials to, you also had you had from the our councilors were there, but the one that was kind of lacking was the provincial minister for social housing and everything that should have been there. And the only one that showed up was the opposition MPs showed up. One of them showed up, and they were on the screen, on Zoom, I guess they call it, because they were talking on screen. I could see that, but I couldn't see a lot of what they were describing in the pamphlet that I can show you here. And there's just two sides to the pamphlet as well. But the other big takeaway from that was on our provincial government, and unfortunately, the opposition party was saying that what's happening now is that the provincial government has withdrawn millions of dollars from our social programs, and that right now, and it's not going to be good. It's because it's supposed to be shared between the federal, the provincial, and the municipal governments, and our municipal government here is standing up, our city, and as I stated just a little while ago from this meeting, in a previous video, that the city has gone out and bought 2 properties, and they're looking at how they build this up, and it's to get people into supportive housing and affordable housing and that. So, and the government, our federal government, stepped up with definitely government lands, putting in housing properties to actually build some of this as well. So they're doing the best they can, but it really needs to be all 3 levels of government. And it's very interesting to see where this is going to lead to. But we're doing our best, and I just wanted to bring you up to date on that meeting that I had. And for me, it still looks hopeful, seeing so many people and a whole church pews all filled with people, all concerned. And that's what gives me hope for the future. We'll find a way through this. So I'm going to leave it there, everyone, for today. So take care, be safe, watch your surroundings, and we'll talk again soon. And bye-bye.